Welcome to today's episode, where we have the privilege of featuring remarkable patient activist and treasurer for Kind Idaho, Joe Evans. In this captivating discussion, we will delve into Joe's inspiring journey of advocacy as he works tirelessly to promote compassionate care and safe access to medical cannabis in challenging red state environment. Joe Evans has emerged as a trailblazer, fearlessly pushing for change and breaking down barriers to ensure that individuals in Idaho can benefit from the healing potential of medicinal cannabis. Despite facing opposition and navigating through a predominantly conservative landscape, Joe's dedication to improving the lives of patients remains unwavering. And through his work with Kind Idaho, Joe has been instrumental in raising awareness about the need for compassionate care, advocating for sense cannabis policies, and emphasizing importance of safe and regulated access to medical cannabis products. His efforts have not only given a voice to patients in Idaho, but also inspired many across the country. So, in this episode, we're going to dive into Joe's personal journey, exploring the challenges he has faced, the progress he has made, and the vision they hold for the future, where patients in Idaho can access the care they need. We also discuss the broader implications of Joe's work, shedding light on the significance of grassroots activism and perseverance in affecting change in even the most challenging environments. So join us as we delve into this compelling story of Joe Evans, a true advocate for compassionate care in the face of adversity. Prepare to be inspired by his unwavering commitment to improving lives and transforming the landscape of healthcare in a red state. So without further ado, let's warmly welcome Joe Evans Evans to the show and embark on this enlightening conversation about paving a way for compassionate care and safe access in a red state. Welcome, Joe. How are you today?
I'm doing excellent, and thank you for that incredible introduction.
Thank
I'm not sure I can even begin to live up to that particular level of praise, but
you.
let's go ahead and go forward.
You are in a red state, and it's you're pioneering in Idaho is so important for patients because no matter what state we're in, our bodies need to be healed.
Well,
No,
and that's one of those things that's extremely important, particularly in red states where the political body has decided that under no conditions whatsoever will marijuana ever be legalized in the state of Idaho. Yeah, now we know that's not true. It's going to happen eventually. It's unavoidable. Question is how far down the road does it end up getting pushed before we can take advantage of the lessons learned and that we can provide coast to coast legal access for patients
yes,
who need and use so that they don't have to be careful of which states they enter while traveling from one side of the United States to another. We
absolutely.
need coast to coast access where it is legally accessible, where we have the effect of a universal
Yeah,
medical card,
yeah,
where every state respects the medical marijuana card of every other state so that these patients can travel from coast to coast without worrying about other things that may cause or trigger a number of issues for a lot of these people. Um,
absolutely.
and until we actually get it legalized in Idaho, that's one of those things that we'll never ever truly realize. We've watched truckers, taking hemp product from Colorado to Oregon, get pulled over, get arrested, and be threatened with 20 years in prison for hemp, industrial, not even,
Wow.
medical grade, industrial hemp, threatened with 20 years in prison for a routine delivery, and we continue to see this problem develop, all across. We recently had an individual contact us who was arrested in Jerome while in possession of his medical marijuana that he'd been prescribed through his medical marijuana card in Washington. Yeah.
Wow.
So, it's an individual who thought earnestly that, his medical marijuana card would be respected in other states. Not true. We're finding that out in extremely painful ways. In addition to that, those of us who live and work in Idaho, who have family here, who have roots here, who have our connections that really prevent us from being able to pick up and leave and go somewhere else, we
Yeah.
continue to fight for that access. You know, my personal introduction into this, I'm not a user myself. I don't need the medical qualities that marijuana provides yet, uh, but I am an Army veteran. I did 4 tours in Afghanistan and Iraq, and these are
Well,
things that, concern me a lot. We have a regional VA center right here in Boise, Idaho. Okay. The number of veterans who settle in Boise who would prefer to have access to medical marijuana as opposed to some of the other forms of treatment that they're forced to undergo through the VA because the VA won't allow another kind of treatment in the Treasure Valley, you know, continues to become more and more prevalent as time goes on. They need access to Boise State University in order to get their GI Bill, get their bachelor's degree. They need access to the regional center, regional VA here in Boise. They need to live here as opposed to living in Ontario because here is where the connections are. Here is where they are best able to recover and recuperate from post traumatic stress injuries sustained in combat,
mhm.
a number of other issues, Gulf War syndrome, you know,
Wow.
cancer related to burn pits, a number of treatments that marijuana is proven to be successful on, but they don't have access because they live in Idaho.
Wow. And no border should limit someone's ability to find relief and support their medical needs. Is it inhumane to keep patients as prisoners and putting them into these outdated restrictions and not allowing safe access? I mean, the fight for freedom is real. Here, our vets have gone to war for us, they have served for us, they fought for our freedom. They fought for our freedom, and including safe. I mean, it's our constitutional right to have access to health and well-being.
And that's another thing that continues to drive an awful lot of this. We are a red state. And one of the things that red states talk a lot about is individual choice, individual freedom, the ability of bodily autonomy, property rights, the
Yeah.
right to declare for yourself what is best for you. Uh,
Yes.
we continue to see an awful lot of claims in support of medical autonomy in the state. The ability to decide for yourself what is the best treatment for you, regardless of what that is. We honestly have stronger support for faith healing in the state, despite the dangers it represents, than we do for medical marijuana in the state. You know,
Right.
we continue to see, people, you know, with easily treatable conditions, whether with marijuana or, just regular medicine, even
Yeah.
with simple treatable conditions that continue to die because, you know, we allow some personal choice to exist as far as medical freedom and medical choice goes, but we still deny access to other forms of medical choice, such as medical marijuana, psilocybin for trauma recovery,
Yeah.
and a number of other drugs. Hate to use drugs, medicine.
Yeah.
We use medicine because that's what this is to us. Even those who find themselves abusing, okay, people claim, well, they're just going to use it right. Well, no, they are using it to achieve a specific medical end. Okay.
Yes.
There is something they need it for. They're not abusing because they want to abuse. They're abusing because they can't control the quality and quantity of what they have access to.
Yes.
So when it comes to street drugs, when you're using a street medication in order to compensate for something that you don't have pharmaceutical access to, that you don't have a dispensary access to, you don't have that quality of control that allows you to regulate
Yeah.
how it affects your system, how it affects your body.
Absolutely.
And more so than anything else, that's what the medical program is. And it's one of the things that's really disturbing when you watch a state move from medical into a recreational program.
Yeah.
Okay, because we all know when you move from the medical to the recreational, you lose that quality control. You lose
Yes.
the ability to identify the terpenes, the version, whether it's sativa or indica, you lose your ability to moderate and
Yeah.
control those variables in your medication.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
still you don't know when it was fresh, you don't know when it was delivered, you don't know what kind of quality or what kind of condition it was packaged in. You don't know how it was treated because it's now recreational and we no longer care
Yeah.
because it's about the sale, it's about the profit margin. It's not about the
Yeah.
care. It's not
It's
about
about
the
the tax and
compassion.
regulation.
Yeah. And it's not about the quality, and it's one of those things you look at a profit margin, you know. They tax medical and they regulate it out of existence, while they tax, recreational, which has a higher resale value because nobody likes, um, your dispensary becomes a possessor of your HIPAA information, and when you move from a medical program to a recreational program, you know, because it's still federally illegal, we still have the problem that your medical use of marijuana doesn't fall under HIPAA.
Oh, wow. Right.
You know?
And so in the state of Idaho, you get pulled over and they can blood
Yes.
test you. They can test
Yes.
blood for
Well,
THC.
there's a lot of things they can do in the state of Idaho with regards to that, as long as they believe they have reasonable cause. Okay, so we talk
Wow.
about reasonable cause and what it is that they think, And of course, the thing is if they blood test you, if they urine test you, you have the residuals from the last time you used. Okay, they can't prove when you used it, whether or not you even used it in the state of Idaho. However, based on the way some of the regulations want to be worked here in the state, you know, last time you used it was 3 weeks ago. But because they can still find residual THC in your bloodstream, they can decide that, oh, you're under the influence.
Wow.
So we're continuing to fight that aspect of it, despite the number of studies that have proven, that THC use does not represent a significant threat to other drivers on the road. And in a lot of ways, if we step back and we take a look at it, THC use for certain medical conditions actually makes you a safer driver.
Right.
It
Right.
inhibits, uh, certain conditions, epilepsy.
Yeah.
I mean, would you rather have somebody who's had their edibles in the last 30 minutes, who's known to have cases of epilepsy driving, or would you prefer to risk an epileptic seizure
While driving.
while driving? Diabetics, similar situation. Have they received the necessary nutrients within the last in order to prevent, a blood sugar loss that affects their ability to maintain control of their vehicle?
Right.
We continue to see these, and a lot of these conditions, they're medical conditions. They're covered under American with Disabilities Act. So it's not like they're covered by the vehicle insurance. Yet many of these conditions that can be alleviated by drugs or by medication like marijuana, you find yourself choosing higher likelihood of death in a traffic accident because you've decided that they can't use that. They have to use something else.
Right.
So we continue to look at danger issues with it. But when it really comes back to, for people like Jackie and myself, is this is about compassion. This is
Yes.
about kindness. We recognize that there are people in Idaho who need it.
Yes.
We have friends who are on pain management programs that require they carry a prescription of Narcan around in case their
Right.
pain management program kills them.
Wow. Incredible.
And a lot of these pain management programs where you're on this level of oxycodone or fentanyl or some other pain management program that's approved, through the American Medical Association or the Pharmacists Association or the FDA, you continue to run into this problem where why can't we use a pain management program that allows them to retain their sensibilities, that allows them to maintain relatively clear thought, that allows them to maintain an awareness of their body
Yeah.
more so than anything else? When you're high on codeine as your pain management program, you forget to eat.
Right.
You forget to pay attention. You stop feeling the things that are supposed to hurt, and you think you're all better all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
Masking and band-aids.
yeah, it's masking and band-aids. And that's one of the beautiful things about the way marijuana works, cannabis works as a pain management program, is because it still allows you to feel the pain. It still allows you to feel what isn't right,
Right.
while still allowing you to manage the pain in a way that works with your system, that works with your body, so that one, you don't lose sense of what's important to you physically and with regards to your health. The way you deal with when you're working with morphine and various other opiates. This allows you to stay aware. It allows you to stay and continue to participate, in your community, participate with your family, be aware of what's going on, as
Yeah.
long as you have quality control so you can regulate your use.
Yes. Absolutely. I think that's so important that we do not numb ourselves from the pain that our body goes through, experience, that we have to really stay in tune with it. Our body's talking to us and we have to be in tune. And, the opiates, so many different opiates have an impact on our microbiome, that
Oh
we're
yeah.
just working against our own self just by what we take in, all the way down to the foods we eat. I mean, everything matters. And I mean, we can speak faithfully on this too and be like, you are what you eat, you are what you take in. Come on, doctor, feed us something good. Give us that something good. You're basing all of these, I mean, the pharmaceutical companies are all based off of plant-based, you know, uh
Well, it's
molecules.
the original plant derivative medications that have been synthesized.
There we
They're
go.
no
That's
longer
the word.
real.
Yeah. Right.
They're as fake as the food that we get
Yeah.
fed every day when we go out, when we deal, when we go shopping. The medicine we're given out of the pharmacy has been processed and put in a box in the same way all of our food has been processed and put in a box. And
Yep.
it's all symptoms of the same problem. We don't have fresh food. We don't have fresh medicine.
Oh man.
We don't have food that works good with our gut biome. We don't have food that works good with our body. We don't have healthy calories to intake.
Yep.
You got empty calories that have been processed. And
Yeah.
depending upon what your budget is, some of those empty calories literally taste like the cardboard they're boxed in.
Yep.
And it
And
runs
they're
into the same
full.
problem with our medicines when we're looking at synthetic medicines. These are lab processed.
Yeah.
Now we're getting better about the gummies. Gummies taste better, whether it's your vitamin D, your vitamin C, your airborne, but at the
Right.
same time, it's still a processed medicine. It's still a processed vitamin. It's been extracted from its raw source,
Yep.
synthesized, put back into a method for you to take it in that isn't always compatible with your body,
Right.
which is
Causing
one of
other
yeah, which is one of
just
these reasons why it's so important to get back to natural medicine, to
yes.
recognize the values of natural medicine. And this isn't just, marijuana. The FDA has continued to prohibit, warnings or prohibit uses for a lot of traditional medications, a lot of herbs, a lot of things. We've been told by the FDA it doesn't actually do, what your grandmother used it for. No, I'm pretty sure it worked on what my grandmother used it for.
Right.
Otherwise,
Uh,
my grandmother wouldn't have been using it for that. But we have convinced 2, 3, almost 4 entire generations now. That the
Wow.
healthy stuff that we pull out of the ground to alleviate our symptoms, to alleviate our diseases, our injuries, is not better for us than what a doctor who spent maybe 3 months studying pharmacology, decides is good for us.
And they don't know you.
They don't know me. We've reached that profit margin for physicians, for doctors in the United States right now, where you're lucky to get 15 minutes with your doctor every 6 months.
Yeah. I
Okay.
have an appointment for a year from now.
Yeah. Your ability for your general practitioner, for your family physician, is nearly non-existent. You're just another set of chart and darts.
Hmm.
They get a brief moment where, okay, I now know her name. So when I walk in, I know, Tara, how are you doing today? I
Yep.
guarantee you he forgot your name 5 minutes after you walked out of the office.
Yep.
On to the
Absolutely.
next client.
Yeah.
So unless you're working with a specialist who has followed your specific issues, your specific health problems for more than 10 years, like my niece's ability to deal with her endometriosis for the longest time.
Mm.
Okay. Kept changing physicians, kept changing specialists. None of them would follow through.
Yeah.
She never had personal direct care. And she had to tell every new general practitioner everything she had gone through.
Yeah.
It's one of these things we talk about. Doctors like to say your 15 minutes on Google isn't worth my 8 years, and the turnaround is your 15 minutes with Google isn't worth my lifetime
Yeah.
with my disease and my symptoms.
Absolutely.
You know, you spent 15 minutes Googling something about my symptoms before I walked in. And you're telling me something I know we've already been tested for.
Right.
Just prove it.
Yeah.
I know it's not that. You have no idea because you've never seen me before.
Yep.
I've been through 5 physicians. I finally found one that actually found medication that worked for me. And now you're telling me that one physician, that the medicine that actually worked for me, the symptoms and disease that we identified, isn't, my life experience means nothing to you.
Right.
And we need to get away from that. We need to do the practice where we have family care physicians, where being a family care physician, for 100 families in a community
Hmm.
is a living and survivable wage for a physician. It pays
Yeah.
for their education, pays for their school, it pays for the regulations, it pays for and we don't have that anymore. We pay more for the administrative support for our physicians than we do for our physicians themselves these days.
Yeah.
And that is because we've
Absolutely.
gotten so distanced from real medicine, from our bodies, from the plants that make our bodies whole,
Yeah.
that we continue to see this problem recur and recur in hospitals and clinics all over the United States,
Yeah.
in medical schools. So this is what we need to get back to, the idea that, the old woods woman, the old herbalist, who maintained that garden of goodies, that everybody went to and said, Oma, I need something for a toothache.
Yeah.
Grandma, I need something for a headache.
Yeah.
Baba Yoshka, I need something for this rash.
Yeah.
You know, those things work.
And they
They're
matter. Yeah.
ways. Modern medicine, the ideas of pills and synthetic things, it's less than 50 years old. And what we've done to our food supply, what we've done to our medicine supply in that last 50 years because of the war on drugs,
Yeah.
because of a misuse of the Green Revolution, that created the opportunities for more and more food, larger and larger populations, more and more concentrations of people. We
Mhm.
continue to watch this degrade our
Yeah.
quality of life, degrade our health. And if we aren't paying attention, we're going to reach a point where that's irreversible. And
Yeah.
this goes back to the whole medical cannabis, making sure it's legal, our universal medical cards that allow us to travel from one end of the country to the other. That's the important part of getting back to nature, getting back to the system, the ecological biome that we exist,
Yeah.
that our body is healthiest in. Get
Yes.
back working with the plants that grow in the soil that we walk barefoot in.
Yes.
You know,
It's so, I mean, you've tapped into such an important aspect. I mean, there's so many things marked today, non-GMO. What is there's like, eat me, I'm healthy, all this packaging that shows us, oh, eat this, buy this, this is healthy.
right?
And let me tell you how many hazardous chemicals are in that healthy product. I mean, most of the packaging I've seen for keto, I there's these apps you can now scan the product and see if it's good for you or not. And then, oh my goodness, the things that I thought were healthy for me, the things that I
Right?
thought were healthy.
You
Wow,
know,
the hazardous material that our government is putting into those foods to make them quote happy and sell me on the packaging is really nice. It's a mirage, like be aware of what you are. I mean, that does matter for even the cannabis plant, like
oh
there
yeah,
was moldy weed going around, moldy cannabis is a thing. Like be in tune. Does that plant have mold or mites? Like I know people are very allergic to molds. They get a hold of a mold that could kill them. It
mm-hmm,
matters, your medicine matters all the way down to I have a tree in my yard, and this tree is actually a cassia officina, and this cassia officina actually holds all the same medicinal plants as a cannabis plant, and doctors use this plant to break it down and create you some synthetic medicines off of it.
mm-hmm,
Like, wow, our world was built on hemp. What, didn't we sail over here with hemp sails and Levi had hemp pants and jeans? I mean, we
mm-hmm,
can heal our earth with acres of hemp. I mean, we can restore the soils. I mean, the waters. It is a phenomenal plant all around. And you even
oh
mentioned
yeah,
terpenes, and I don't know if people realize that terpenes is a new hype word. I consider it a hype word in our cannabis industry because everybody has something terpenated and terpenes. And there is such a value to terpenes. And maybe just people are just now learning what terpenes is, but that taste of an apple, that benefit of the banana, I mean, these flavors, the sense of the pine, like these all have a terpene profile.
yeah.
Everything that's good for you has these terpene profiles. Can you share more about terpenes? Because I think terpenes are amazing, therapeutic. And for the record, if you get some terpenes and strain specific, even now, this is where your strains come in. They can do so much for anxiety through smell. You can put them on your lymph nodes directly and get great topical work to help reduce the swelling of lymph nodes. Like,
I mean, the aromatherapy aspect of the
oh, yeah.
terpenes alone, works amazing for a lot of people. It's the same terpenes that you get with lavender,
Yes.
with vanilla. All of these. Every variation has its own uh, kinds of terpenes based on how the breeders, how the people, cycled it. I mean, we talk about plant hybrids. We talk about what the medications look like. And we're reaching a point right now where there are as many variations of cannabis flower as there are
Yeah.
roses. That's the kind of dedication that we have with regards to what is the new medicine. Whether you look at it as medicine or recreational, this is the depth of investment, that breeders and growers have invested in the quality of their stuff, the
Yeah.
terpenes that they breed their plants for, that they hybridize their plants for. in order to create an emphasis on a specific kind of terpene, or whether you're looking at a sativa indica hybrid or a sativa or indica specific, and then you got the terpenes that are on top of it that'll give you everything from, the old skunk smell that everybody associates with marijuana to fresher scents, like pine nut and
Mhm.
other aromas that they're able to integrate through this terpene breeding process. And these are things you actually need to be careful when you're looking at, because we found that there are terpenes that certain people are allergic to.
Yes.
We've seen terpenes with different effects,
Yes.
terpenes that taste great to some people and not so great to others.
Yep.
It's like the whole Brussels sprouts that taste like soap thing, or uh,
Right? I love that.
yeah, so in addition to the idea of being able to control what you put into your body, whether it's an indica or whether it's a sativa, or whether you choose to use, your doctor's oxycodone 10, or you choose to use, a gentle indica, gummy, for your pain management program as you're going through rehabilitation, or you're
Mhm.
trying to find something that calms your nerves, to reduce your inherent reaction to trauma triggers. So
Yes.
you can continue to associate and work in your community, work in your job, because the things that would trigger you otherwise would cause you to literally fall apart in the middle of work and have to leave work.
Yeah.
You know, medical marijuana, psilocybin, some of these others create this ability for you to distance yourself from your triggers, from your trauma, so that random behaviors aren't seen as threats anymore.
Yes. Yes. And they build the new pathways, it's about
Yeah,
changing what our cellular memory knows and changing that reaction, responding to it with our mind really fully conscious and aware of it. I think it's so important. And terpenes are really good for anybody who does experience anxiety. Finding that strain that works is really important, as you say, because, yeah, one of them, I think there's one, I think it's the pinene, to me smells like I'm cleaning house, but I really love the granddaddy perp, like it's heavenly
right.
to me. I can sit with it to my nose. And even when I'm at my computer and just like it's breathing, it's taking that moment the same way you would a lavender oil, a doTERRA oil. I mean, it's the same therapeutic. You can put terpenes in water and drink it just like doTERRA. It's
Yes.
just expanding all of what already is in our plant-based medicine. It's really a phenomenal plant down to the roots that we could use. The root medicine is valuable. And don't underestimate, a lot of people might talk down on CBD, and it's like CBD has its benefits. It
It
has a
does, very
really
much
great
so.
potential, and there's a lot of people who may not deal well with THC, and they might not want the CBD because they really might need CBG. You
Right?
might really need to be, you might find yourself really with PTSD, as we know a lot of vets can have done a lot, served a lot, seen a lot, experienced a
Mhm.
lot, Agent Orange. I mean, we can go on. But you mentioned the healing pathway of psilocybin, and that is so valuable. Like it has been, again, we already have the research, the science is there, and it builds the neural pathways. And no matter what medication you're using, for the record, cacao matters. A dark cacao that's really nice. I'm not talking a Hershey's bar. I'm talking those really gourmet cocaos that have a 79, 72% cacao. Take it 20 minutes before you're medicating, and it will open up your bloodstream, and we can go ahead and tap more into that psilocybin family, that fungi family, and reach out and be like, again, we can go into funguses, lion's mane is really great for rebuilding your neuro
Mhm.
pathways in your brain, so utilizing all of the mushroom family is amazing. Adaptogenic mushrooms are the way to go. We make a candy bar actually that we put 19 different mushrooms in it: turkey tail, cordyceps, lion's mane, so that you can get full benefit of even your mushroom family. And not
Mhm.
always, again, does it have to be psychedelic.
No.
You can still get all these beautiful benefits. And we already have these preconceived ideas of tripping and psychedelics, but we get to have this conversation too. We get to
Yes.
the conversation of the healing benefit of all of our plant medicine. I mean, these have been around for centuries. We can go back to cannabis and find it in the biblical setting, even. Okay. Every religion, go ahead and open up your Bible. Let's go back to Genesis. Let's go back to the beginning where it talks about the seed. Let's talk
We
about
know
that.
that, every herb and every plant, gifted
Has
to man
benefit.
for his medicine and for his
Yes.
food.
Yes.
It's biblical. If it grows, the human body has a use for it. The
Yes.
human
I'm
body
happy.
has a capability of using it and turning it into medicine.
Yes, even
And
an animal will naturally be drawn to a plant to heal itself. If an ant like yarrow is known to take worms from an elephant. I have a yarrow patch, a really beautiful one, and my dog was sick. I adopted a dog that had some abuse, and I'll tell you what, my dog ate that yarrow like it was a salad every day, and he was eating my cactuses. He would take all the skin off the cactus, which was really amazing. But you know what? This dog dewormed itself. This dog healed itself naturally just by its animal instincts to go to the
yeah,
plant that's going to heal him. You know, our and it's that's
mhm.
so valuable. We're all just like this interconnectedness and we're all drawn to the same healing process, but we've been so caught up into the corporation of medicines. And so I really love the fact that you've brought up the terpene and the value of those seed. The seed of the matter is the root of the plant, that this plant has this medicinal value that should not be ignored.
Here's one of the other things that consistently gets overlooked from the nature of homeopathic medicines, from holistic medicines and holistic food, is the idea that we exist as part of, the microbiomes, the micro-ecological systems that we live in, the communities, the towns, the plants that grow around us, the soil from which our plants are grown.
Yes.
And we look at that and we go, in the same way that people will take honey, local honey specifically, in order to alleviate issues with allergies, pollen
Hmm.
allergies, because
Yes.
the processing of that honey integrates things from the local biome. And it's the same
Yes.
thing with the plants. When we're looking at plants that are cross pollinated or pollinate, not even cross pollinated, but pollinated, by local pollinators that are capable of being part of that ecosystem, the food we grow, the pollen that's in the air, the animals that we integrate with, the animals that eat the food we grow for them in
Yep.
our community. It's all part of this cycle of life, circle of life, part of the food chain, and the health benefits of local
Yes.
grown medicine, as opposed
Yes.
to, these polyjuices that are manufactured in isolated synthetic environments,
Yes.
all to be bottled in a plastic bottle, you know, full of whatever microplastics that come with that,
Yep.
shipped to your home for you to chug down with your fluoridated water,
Yep.
you know, when you could be raising plants
Yep.
pollinated by local pollinators, integrating everything about your microbiome in a holistic way, the food you eat, the medicine you take, you know, um, the air you breathe, you know,
Mhm.
the things that are in the natural things, the pollens that are in the air, all of these things working holistically to make your body the best body that it can be
Yes.
in the environment you've chosen to live in.
Yes.
Your air filters, they're natural. Why not more of them?
Right? I
And
agree.
hemp from a perspective is that it grows fast. It
Yes.
filters toxins out
Yes.
of the ground. It filters the toxins out of the air. In addition, it turns all of those toxins into something that benefits your body,
Yes.
assuming they're the
Yeah.
right toxins. You ain't phosphates and Roundup on and expect a good result. But,
Yeah.
as far as proper care for the land, proper maintenance for the land that grows your food, that grows your medicine, hemp is one of the most useful tools that has been, well, it's been available since the beginning of time. It's one of those things we understood since way back.
Yep.
Hemp in our clothing, in our food, in the way we rehabilitate and rotate crops in order
Yeah.
to make sure that the soil's properly prepared for our food crops that come in behind them. Being able to take that fiber and turn it into linen. You know,
Yeah.
so that the food we grow also provides the clothing that sits next to our body.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely. You
yeah,
know, it,
I do need to be careful running onto this whole nature hippie thing because I like my tech. We're here having a great conversation
yeah.
over something that could be manufactured out of hemp plastics.
Yep.
Being able to run circuit boards in a combination of hemp circuit boards, with the copper wires, copper tubes, that run on the circuit boards to create the micro uh, processors. So it's not just the way we could use it in what I'd call a throwback capacity, the way we used it historically, but also in the ways we can use it in the future.
Yes.
So
Oh,
it's not like I want to see a world where we go back 100 years. I want to be able to take advantage of the best of class lessons, the best of
yeah.
lessons learned, best of class possibilities moving forward. We have
Yeah.
the ability to take the best of both worlds and take things from our history and create a better future with it, as opposed to creating a dependency upon a
Mm,
system that is not interested in our health. Now,
yeah.
currently, the system of systems wants us sick. We know it wants us sick because as long as we are sick, there is a profit to be made.
Yes.
And there are people who place profit over people. And when you
Yes.
start looking at naturopathic medicos like yourself and myself, where we go, I'm not in this for the profit because I know you can grow this yourself.
Yes.
If I make it too expensive, you will grow it yourself and you will grow specifically what you need
Yep.
and you will grow it and test it to the quality you need
Yep.
because we have that ability now.
Yeah.
Okay, you're no longer dependent upon what's coming out of a lab. You're no longer dependent upon what's certified through the FDA, where only two companies in the United States even make it.
Wow.
This is about
You know,
creating medical sovereignty, because you're able to medicate yourself in cooperation with a physician who understands what your condition is,
yes.
for the best of class results in a medicine of your choosing that gives you the results you need, allows you to live the life you want to live to the best of what these medicines allow you to do.
Blessed be. And that's all we should be asking for. That's not a lot to ask for.
No, it's not. No,
It's
it's not.
really not.
All I want to do is be able to grow my own medicine. All I want to do is be able to be healthy. All I want to do is be able to trust my mind, my ability to reason.
Yes.
In the
Yes.
process of what we've done in modern America and Western nations, is we've created a dependency upon a cycle that is not interested in our health, but
Yes.
just our money.
Yep.
That's one of the things that we need more than anything else about what we do going forward, because
Yes.
it isn't about what we represent as profit to a stranger. This is about what we represent to the communities we build because we're healthy enough to contribute to these communities. We're
Yes.
sane enough to contribute to these communities. We're functional because our choice of medicine gives us the ability to be functional.
Yes. 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 And that's what we should be asking for. I mean, it's legal to drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes.
And we know there's no medicinal qualities to either of those.
Yeah, we see that it's addictive. It
Yeah.
even says it on, we know this.
And I mean, okay, to be fair, tobacco itself has medicinal qualities.
Yes.
What we've done to cigarettes
There you go. Marlboro.
has no medicinal quality. It's literally a danger to our bodies, a danger to our health.
And to be aware, the Marlboro companies are stepping into cannabis. You can
Oh, yeah.
buy hemp cigs that are created by the Virginia tobacco companies, and they're going to give it to you. And I promise, I've picked up this pack. I opened it. It looks just like a pack of cigarettes. You get that same euphoric feeling. You open it, you're going to smoke it. But let me tell you, let's talk about that paper. Let's talk about that filter.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what they're still getting to you, because it's the same thing they did to the tobacco plant. They took and put their additives in. You're not getting full leaf tobacco. Now, if you're
No.
getting full leaf tobacco, if you've never grown a tobacco plant, I recommend it. It's as incredible as a hemp plant. It grows so big and so fast. It is rad. I was gifted a tobacco plant before, and I enjoyed growing it. It was really
Yeah.
a phenomenal process. And so it goes back to the root of the matter. It goes
But
back
we don't, yeah.
continuously.
We don't want to get into a situation where our medicine, our hemp, our cannabis becomes as processed as our foods.
Right.
As processed as our tobacco, as
Terrifying.
processed as our medicine.
Yep.
Because our medicine should be as close to the earth we live on,
Yes.
as it is to us.
Yep.
This isn't something we should be shipping from halfway around the world because we want it like local honey.
Yeah.
We want it taking care of the problems that are indigenous to the areas in which we live.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Especially with all the natural disasters taking place. We can do so much land restoration using hemp and healing the trauma of those who've experienced these natural disasters. Like, oh, the phenomenon of this plant. Like, it is truly a plant that keeps giving.
But and this is one of those things because I remember, and this goes back to my time in Afghanistan. Because as an intelligence officer while I was there, one of the things I was responsible for was monitoring what was going on with the local population, trying to understand where, when we'd be attacked, and what was going on with the drug smuggling.
Wow.
And the understanding of what was going on with poppy fields and the poppy production,
Good
and how
smell.
that integrated into the community, and the
Yeah.
way local soldiers would use it as an escape process. The way locals would use it, as a means of avoiding dealing with trauma,
Yeah.
and recognizing that this wasn't the only thing that was used in the area. It was just a convenient cash crop,
Right.
that was easy to sell and resell. But anytime you got a cash crop like that around, you're going to have people who use and abuse because they don't understand how to regulate their use in conjunction with their trauma.
Right. The trauma is leading the path.
Yeah, the trauma is guiding their usage
Yeah.
rather than their usage guiding the trauma.
Correct. Right.
So it's important to make sure that you get things in the proper order.
Yeah.
You want to use to heal, you don't want to use to escape.
That's a beautiful message too. And
And I think that's one of the things that really gets lost when you start hearing the message that's coming from the anti-marijuana crowd. Is it's like, what, but people are going to abuse it. Well, people abuse alcohol, people abuse fentanyl, people abuse
yeah.
oxycodone, people abuse, the SSRIs that are handed to them for, people abuse Xanax,
Mhm.
other non-addictive drugs. We see the abuse. We see the functional alcoholics. We see the functional abusers of prescription drugs.
Yeah.
And as long as they're functional, We
Yeah.
treat them as if it's a medical use thing because they can function well under it, even
Yeah.
though the truth
They're not.
is functional addicts.
Yeah.
So how do we go about creating the messaging so that people are no longer functional addicts with
Oh,
regards to the choice of medication and use of it, but the idea that rather than using the medication in escapism, and this is back to the idea of how do we transfer from letting the trauma guide the use and allow the use to guide the trauma,
yes.
and how do we integrate that with a local economy, local medicine, localized cultural trauma,
Yes.
and allow all of this to stay in circulation within a community
Yes.
so that the resources of that community aren't being siphoned out of it to be stolen and sent to the far corners of the earth for something that has no benefit to the community that's being exploited. How do
Ab-
we encapsulate that and turn that all into a localized economic, ecological, and medical biome?
Yes. Absolutely. That's the best question that we could actually all be asking ourselves, where we're at and what we can do within our community. Joe, what steps would you give or advice that you would give for those that might be seeking to support efforts of patient activism or organizations like Kind
Um,
Idaho in this fight for safe access?
oh, right now, the big thing is organizations like Kind Idaho, especially in deep red states. Okay, don't be afraid. More than anything else, do not be afraid.
Yes.
Okay, step up, support.
Yes.
Pick up a petition, collect signatures. Find a spare $10, donate it. Um, Write little messages to the people on the team and say, thank you for what you're doing. You know, volunteers and donations would go up, but we still like to hear that. You're doing good for me. I'm sorry I can't donate. I really wish I was you know either in a better place with my health or a better place with my finances. But thank you for doing the work. That is going to give me the medicine I need. You know,
Bless.
um, do the outreach like that. And in the same way, if you can't donate, talk to people who can.
Yeah.
You know somebody who wants to see you get better, who does have a spare dollar. Ask them to donate in your name,
Blessed be.
you know,
Yes.
because we all know someone who needs this. We all know somebody who could use it.
Yep.
One of our members on our team, her granddaughter, it deals with epileptic seizures.
Mm.
Jackie's story, which you've already gotten, her daughter has brain cancer.
Yeah.
Friends of mine, post-traumatic stress disorder, complex post-traumatic stress injuries. The idea, people who've been going through pain management programs, for a number of reasons, um, childhood trauma, adult trauma, sexual trauma.
Yeah.
We continue to see that these people would benefit so much from having this access. We know somebody who needs it. We know
Yes.
somebody who would benefit from its use.
Yes.
And when you are living in an area that is spending $2.5 million a week, and that's what we
Wow.
do in the Treasure Valley. $2.5 million a week is what gets spent in border town dispensaries around the Treasure Valley.
Wow.
We get in a car, we drive 60 minutes to
Yep.
spend $2.5 million a week to drive 60 minutes back into Idaho because what we need isn't available here.
And
Never
that,
mind all of the federal laws we're violating.
right.
Never mind the fact that it's now trafficking.
Yeah.
Never mind that those two 1.7-ounce candy bars that you picked up now represent a felony in the state of Idaho as soon as you cross that border with them.
Wow.
10 years in prison because you picked up two edible candy bars at the dispensary. Yeah.
Insane.
So what we
And
look
even if you have a medical card, you're still
yeah,
going to get in trouble in this state.
even if you have a medical card, you know, Oregon's one of those that's nice. They will even grant out-of-staters a medical card to get on their medical program.
Oh, good.
Idaho doesn't respect the medical card, regardless of state of origin. It's illegal. Your possession of your medicine, if you have
Horrible.
enough of it on you, is a felony. And they will
Horrible.
send you to prison for 10 to 15 years, where the only medication you get is what's available in the prison dispensary.
Wow. I've seen those legal cans of weed. They're
You
brown.
know,
It's
yeah,
brown. It's
they're
very,
brown, they're harsh. They might as well be skunk weed by the time you finally get around to
yeah.
actually using it. You know, Mexican ditch weed from 1970.
Yes. That's exactly what it's been stored away all these years. It's just passing it out to patients. Here you go. Here's
Yeah,
your bad weed. Here's your bad weed. Like,
you know, and it's funny because here in Idaho, here in the Treasure Valley, I actually counted it out the other day. We have 5 methadone clinics
whoa. And a ketamine clinic.
and a ketamine clinic.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
literally have clinics that could be replaced by a marijuana dispensary and help people get clean.
Yeah. And start helping that opioid addiction that's
Yeah.
swooping the
And it will
nation.
get them clean faster using medical marijuana to get them off of the addictive drugs than using addictive drugs to get them off of addictive drugs.
Right. To help heal versus the opposite. You know,
Right.
like we're just destroying ourselves, like with the man-made chemicals and all the medication, you know, like I want to bring us all into the root of the matter and the heart of the seed. And Joe, you're doing a great work in Idaho. And I genuinely can't thank you enough for your time today. Like this has been a really great conversation. I hope that I hope that people brought something out of this. I hope if anything, you go plant a seed, even if it's lettuce in your garden that you're going to cut and eat yourself. Go plant your herbs. Go take the time to put your hands in the earth and come back to the balance of it. Care for the heart, mind, the body, and the soul, because we have to work together within our body to heal the brain waves, you know, take the healthier alternatives, you know, and I know it's not easy in a state like Idaho at all. Joe, if people are wanting to get in touch with you or Kind Idaho, how would they do that?
The best way right now is the kindidaho.org website. So it's
Okay.
simple, kindidaho.org. On that, we have information on how to get the petition, how to facilitate getting the petition signed. We have our donation page. We have our volunteer page. All of these are ways to reach out and get in contact with us. In addition to that, if you just Google Kind Idaho, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Jackie even recently opened up a TikTok account, so we got TikTok presentation for you to reach out and talk to us, contact us, find out more information. We'll be doing events around town. We have Goddess Fest coming up in June.
Oh, wonderful.
That'll be down at the fairgrounds. You know, we'll be down there for a day. We have other events all over the state. You know, just reach out. And if you can't find this event in your area, you know, get in contact with us and we'll help you organize an event in your area so that you can collect signatures. Yeah, you know, we want you to be part of the solution. You know someone who uses, you know someone who's alive today because someone uses. You want to keep those people around.
Yes.
And part of that is making sure that their medicine is legal. that they have
Yes.
legal access, that they have legal use, and that in the eventuality that Idaho is, when Idaho becomes legal, we want to be able to have universal, reciprocal marijuana cards from coast to coast. That way,
Yeah.
your friends and family can go anywhere you go and they
Yeah.
will have access to their medicine. They'll be
Yeah.
able to carry their medicine with them across state borders.
Yes. That's such a
Um,
big one right there. That is such a huge, I mean, we are who we are no matter where we are. That's not going
yeah,
to change. And out of respect and our human rights, our constitution, we should have the right of choice and our right of choice to healthcare. And that matters, and
mhm,
holistic options should be an option. Like I have
absolutely.
I have one more question for you because I'm ever
Yes.
curious. What message would you like to convey to lawmakers or policymakers regarding the importance of compassionate care and safe access to medical cannabis?
Medical care and safe access to cannabis is kind, period. That is the big thing. We want people healthy. We want people to be able to be their best selves. And for very many people in the United States, their best selves means access to medical cannabis,
Yes.
access to quality medical
Yes.
cannabis.
Yes. We
And
deserve our rights universally. Like this is a universal human right that we should be given.
well, this is a universal health care right.
Yeah. To tap into specific, it is.
And when it comes to universal health care, honestly, this is one of the least expensive approaches to universal health care that we can start with.
Yes. And there is enough science to show the healing that it's come through. I mean, even doctors can see tumors get
Yeah.
shrunk by patients from using cannabis oil. Every day there's another doctor. At least I like to hope every day there's a doctor who sees the light, who sees the truth and the healing because a patient decided to not listen to their doctor's orders and decided to use cannabis oil and they took the forefront of their fight. So many of them even moved the states to where they could have that access to save their child's life and their child is alive today. But they
Hmm.
had to move, mind you. They had to move out of their
We
state
had to move.
to do that.
But that is one of the things that is so important for people to understand. Medical cannabis is universal health care. And
Yes.
giving people universal access to medical cannabis
Mhm.
will reduce healthcare costs across the United States practically overnight.
Yes.
We've seen it happen.
And let's continue
We
seeing
can
it.
do this,
Yeah.
but
It
it's about
takes a village.
yeah, it takes a village,
Yeah. It
and we
really does.
have to have access to people with integrity that provide quality product,
Yes.
tested and certified, so that we know what we're getting.
Amen.
And we
Amen.
need them to be able to test it and certify it affordably so that we
Yeah.
can continue to afford the best product available for our specific needs.
Amen. I couldn't have said it. You've said this so great. You've brought a lot of information. You've communicated this so well. And, I just want to bring it back to attention that Joe is an advocate for cannabis. He said up front from this video that he doesn't use it. So it just goes to show that even if you're not using cannabis and you don't want to use cannabis, you don't have to. We're not asking everybody to. We're asking for you to stand for the rights for patients to have safe access because their lives matter. And we need to just really acknowledge no matter what, the heart and the seed, the root of the issues, all can come back to the earth. And let's reground, rebalance, heal ourselves, heal our earth, and do what you can to be part of the environment around you. Again, Joe, I thank you for your time. We're going to bring this conversation to a close. I want to express again my deepest gratitude for Joe Evans for sharing his incredible journey as a patient activist and advocate for compassionate care in the red state of Idaho. Thank you, Joe, so
Thank you
much.
again for your time today, Tara. I really
Yeah,
do appreciate this
you're
opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. So, through his works with Kind Idaho, Joe has not only raised awareness about the importance of compassionate care, but has been an instrumental in building bridges and fostering this understanding. To everybody who's tuning in and listening, I hope you got an important message with us today. Joe's efforts and strategic approaches have brought us closer to the future where patients in Idaho can receive the care they deserve. Though it's still some time, we've got the root of the matter in the process of seeding. And just as every seed, every plant goes through dirt. And right now, Joe's experiences serve as a powerful reminder of the impact of grassroots activism can have, even in the face of challenges and opposition. Activism does not only transform lives, but it challenges misconceptions and advances the cause of medical cannabis across the country universally. So let's stand together as Joe did as an example with the commitment to positive change that will continue to affect the future of medical cannabis and safe access to patients. So, as we conclude this episode, we encourage our listeners to support and amplify the voices of patients and activists like Joe, engage in conversations about compassionate care, and to advocate for safe medical cannabis in your own community. Reach out, build that community. It's what it takes to get through. It takes a village. Again, thank you, Joe, for your unwavering passion, resilience, and dedication to creating a future where compassionate care is accessible to all. This journey of advocacy is a work that will continue and hopefully inspire some of you guys who are tuning in. So join us again next time in Compassion and Cannabis for another episode where we continue to explore stories of courage, hope, and transformative power of advocacy in the realm of healthcare. I'm your host, Tara Purcell, and it was blessed sharing this time with you today. Thank you.